Hey, writers. I am delighted to have Mandy Keskes with me today. Welcome, Mandy.
Hi.
Mandy is a fellow coach, and we're going to dig into talking about educators, teachers, people who work in this kind of school year environment. It can sometimes be very challenging to write because we all know the school year can be very intense, but then we have this summer break, but that can also be intense in its own different ways. And Mandy's going to help us out today by talking about some of the pros and cons of trying to write while also having these other responsibilities.
Yeah.
So this is going to be awesome. And let me introduce Mandy just a little bit more detail so we know a little bit more about her. So you teach high school English, but now you are a fiction book coach,
Full-time
certified.
book coach,
I
yes.
love it. Certified with Author Accelerator. And so now she helps teachers, moms, teens to plan, draft, and revise their books. And she's a creative writing instructor for the Traverse City National Writers Series, and that's in Michigan.
Yeah.
And providing classes for teens. And now you are also working with the Michigan Writers Board of Directors, which sounds super interesting. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's brand new, but they were seeing a desire to be able to connect more writers together. And so I'm taking on the role of membership chair, and I'm going to be working really hard to basically help writers find each other. Because right now there's pockets of them all over Michigan, and we're going to try to bind them together so we can support each other.
Awesome. And quite possible to do now in our online world, right?
Exactly. And that's an area they saw they were lacking in. They have a lot of support and understanding of how to do things in person, but they want to really push it beyond just being a Traverse City centric organization. So I'm excited to use
Yeah,
my tech skills and help them with that.
that sounds amazing. And when you're not doing all of these wonderful things, you are also managing things at home. I hope things have been going pretty well for you.
Yes, yeah, I have two teenage boys, and so they're very busy and they're very into all the sports. So they keep me busy. And I'm also just finishing up my own novel, and I've begun querying. So I've got that going as well.
Fantastic. I love it. So I love that you work specifically with teachers, educators. I know there's a lot of like specialty staff too that kind of fall under
Yes.
that education umbrella. Um,
Yeah.
just what do you think is the hardest part about, because it is a very intense time of the year when you're in that September to June or August to May, depending
Right.
on where you live and what
Yeah.
your school year looks like. I
Yeah.
mean, it can be really hard to try and squeeze in any time
hmm
for writing. So, so what do you think is a challenge that you most often see with writers who are coming to you?
Yeah. So I purposely say that I like to coach educators, not just teachers, as you said, because there's so many people that well, first of all, I think once a teacher, always a teacher.
Yeah.
But because I taught high school for years, I'm still a teacher. I work with a lot of clients who actually, again, were teaching, either taking a break or they've retired. Um, a teacher I started with last year, she was on maternity leave. So I have found many of the people I've worked with want to find ways when they have a moment to breathe and write together. That's also why summer can be a great time because it is a moment where you might be able to find some more time for
Right.
yourself. However, I also don't want people to think you can only write in the summer. I started writing on the side when I was full-time teaching and my kids were toddlers. So I found a way to write even though I was busy. I would write often in the evenings when they were asleep. I would sometimes, like on my prep period when I wasn't teaching a class, I would be writing. And as an English teacher, I saw all of those as an extensions of making me a really good teacher. Because I think
Yeah.
teachers that actually practice what they're teaching just get better at it. And so I started to find that if I wasn't writing, I actually felt more stressed out. And
Mm.
so writing was like this cathartic release for me. And so I just kept that going for years and years and always wanted to write the novel. I didn't start writing my novel till after I left teaching to teach online, not because I don't think I could have, but I didn't know how to. And so that's why I was so excited when I found Author Accelerator and I worked with the coach, Julie Arts. She's wonderful.
Mhm.
And it made me realize, okay, first of all, I want her job. I want to do that. And I want to help other people find this sooner than I did because I was just kind of like years figuring out on my own. And if I'd had somebody sooner to help me, I could have written a novel probably years ago. I just didn't know
Yeah.
how to. I didn't know how to begin. And so having that curriculum and that guideline is really helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned teaching English, and I'm sure that you saw this as a teacher reflecting with your students. So I come from math, and I've been a math
Yeah.
teacher. One thing that's interesting about math versus English is that people will often struggle more, perhaps, to learn a mathematical concept on their own, but because math is very like black and white. It's like, did you get it right or wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can you can more easily tell if you're understanding the material and knowing how to do what you need to do because you can check your answers and know
Yes.
if you're right or wrong. Whereas in English, unless you are literally dealing with grammar,
Right.
um, it's hard to know if you might think that you've absorbed what you need to absorb, but you don't know until you've put it into practice, and you really don't know until someone else has given you feedback.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's why over the years I saw my skills as a teacher get so much better because I was able to start identifying areas where I could be a little bit more objective and create rubrics and designs for teachers to follow. I think it's why I love the blueprint so much for
Mm,
novel writing. It just, a lot of us crave some sort of scaffold. But there is always that element of subjectivity. And that's why I really enjoyed teaching creative writing. I'm still teaching that now at the National Writer Series, but I love it because there are a couple guidelines to follow, but that it is so much creating something that you love and enjoy. But even then, you need some sort of feedback to get a sense of is my feedback landing or not. And so in creative writing, I was really focused on like what is going really well and what is something you could work on. And as a coach, I do that too. Like I think there's this balance when we give feedback of being constructive, but also positive and encouraging. And that's a skill that I think takes a lot of time and practice. And so stepping into being a book coach was so natural because I've been teaching my whole life. I love teaching. And it's not something I think anyone can just pick up and do. That's why the training's so important. And so it just feels good. I feel like all my years of teaching have kind of led me to this moment of being able to help people work on writing what they really care about. Because that's
yeah.
hard too as a teacher, helping students write essays that they don't feel invested in. So it's really rewarding to work with people. Like when you have a passion, you want to do something, it's really fun to work with somebody like that because it just gets you excited about your own writing too.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, we talked about some challenges of teaching while writing, but I believe that everything that we've done in life can also um, add to the benefits that we bring
Yeah,
to writing, the things that can become strengths. What are some strengths that you find? I mean, obviously, individuals are going to be unique, but
sure.
is there a set of strengths within the teaching community that you think
Oh,
work particularly well for writing?
yeah, absolutely. I think especially teachers have these innate project management skills because you have to manage a classroom of
Hmm.
usually 30 plus students. And usually you have multiple students, or if you're teaching elementary, you have to know multiple different subject areas. Like it's so different K through 12, but it's the basic of being able to manage a big project, manage a curriculum. A novel, if it helps, the analogy is like a curriculum. It has to make sense, it has to tie together, the objectives have to match the assessment. And so that concept of managing something long term is something teachers already know how to do. And that's something that I think is hardest for people writing a novel to even fathom. Like, this is going to take me
Mm-hmm.
years potentially. But as educators, we know curriculum takes years to develop that's really strong. Like, we'll teach something once the first time and it's okay. So that's like your first draft. But it takes many iterations and years before you realize, okay, now I know what I'm doing. So it's the same kind of concept with writing a novel.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So you mentioned that people will maybe sometimes take some time during the summer to
Mhm.
make a more intense kind of focus. How do you see that coming to play? Like, give us some like the nitty gritty of what you tend to see in the summer
In the
from people
summers.
who have their summers off.
Yeah, so I find that in the summers, a lot of people love writing in the mornings. I mean, year round it's great, but a lot of teachers can't because they've
Right.
got to go to work. Though every now and then I'd get up super early and write. I found the evenings were helpful, but the summer's a chance to put your writing first and make it the first thing you do. And so that just kind of sets the tone for your whole day. Like I run these co-writing sessions and they're in the mornings and I love them because it's like accountability time to write and I work on my writing and then I feel like so good about the rest of my day. So no matter what happens, I'm going to be running my kids around, working on different things and projects. At least I spent some time for myself. And so summer's a great time to do that. And do it before the kids are awake or before you're traveling. That's really helpful. And I also find that in the summer, there's usually longer periods of time where you can work on something too. Where versus
Hmm.
during the school year, you're working in stolen moments, and stolen moments definitely add up. That's what I did for years. But when you have a few sustained moments throughout the summer, you can really make some headway and then continue the process throughout the school year, but just in those smaller chunks. And that works too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I'm wondering because you mentioned that you also work with teens, right?
Yes, yeah,
Still working with teens.
yes.
Um, and when you do that, are they also working on novels, or are you
Yeah.
working on different types of writing with them?
I've had a mix of both. Working with teenagers and novels is something kind of new I'm branching
Hmm.
into. I did a winter class through National Writer Series, and I had a couple students sign up as well. And for teenagers, it was really fun. The student I worked with, especially, he was writing a fantasy novel, and he'd already written it, and so he was applying the blueprint to kind of revise it and make it better. And so I taught creative writing for years, and it was ninth through 12th grade, and so I love the excitement of high school students because they still have so much hope and potential. Like they haven't been beaten down by like being told, oh, it's too hard to get published. And they're like, no, I can do it. So they have a lot of energy to feed off
Yeah.
of. And so that's also why I like National Writer Series because I'm working with students all the time. Because that's the thing I miss the most about being in a physical classroom is I love working with students. It just for my lifestyle and what I'm doing right now, working remotely worked better. But I like that I still get to keep touch with them because they do have so much excitement and passion for life. And that, again, it's infectious and it gets me excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you brought up this. They haven't been beaten down because I have found that to be true as well, that teen writers just seem to believe more in their abilities,
Yes, yeah,
which is so interesting because you would expect that maybe to be the opposite because they haven't had as long to practice those abilities. But
right.
they do not seem to worry so much about the rules.
I think that's so true. Like they still, if they love to write, it's because it brings them joy. And so that joy piece is still very much with them. And I don't know at what point that joy gets lost for some people along the way, not for everyone. But I feel like those moments where I'm writing just for the pure joy of it and just getting into it are the best. And teenagers seem to have more of that. And
Yes.
so again, I think it keeps me young. It keeps me like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be fun. This doesn't have to be a serious task. Like writing for the sake of writing is really, I think, the purpose. And then having someone read it and give you feedback is so exciting. But sometimes just writing for yourself is okay too. And I think teenagers are really good at doing that.
Yeah. So with your teen writers, it sounds like are you maybe working with them more in a like a group class kind of setting, or is it the one-to-one
Yeah.
coaching, or what does that look like?
So right now, the teenagers I do work are I am working with them in a group setting. But I have on my site, I'm open to working with teenagers one-on-one whenever they might want to. And so that's something I'm always keeping an eye out for. So I can work with them just like with the adults. It can be group, it
Yes.
can be individual, whatever works best for the student, and of course the families as well.
Yes. Yes. All right. So I know you host some co-writing sessions.
hmm
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started the co-writing sessions last fall, honestly, in part to keep myself accountable. I was trying to finish my novel, and I was just learning that if I didn't schedule a time where I knew other people would be there, then I would end up doing something else deemed more quote
Right.
like valuable. And so I started with Monday mornings, and I'm still running them from 8 to 9:30 Eastern time because I'm in Michigan. And I set it up so that you could come and go as you please because some people couldn't devote the whole
Right.
time and I still have people that come and go. But I purposely picked an hour and a half, and I picked early morning, hoping with the time zones that maybe there are some teachers that could sneak in before they go to class, or just anybody that has time to write. Excuse me. And so for a few months, I did it with just one of my book coaching clients. And she works and is a curriculum director now, but she was a teacher for years. And so it was just she and I working together and we were fine with it. And then all of a sudden, more people kept joining and joining. And now I have about 15 people that come and go on a regular basis. And we're all getting to know each other and our writing. Because of the group, we added a Friday session. I had a couple people on the west side of the state that couldn't quite get up that early, so we have a 10 to 11:30 Eastern time on Fridays. I'm looking at adding an evening session soon because those are the times where I would work on my novel and I get so much done. And we would just talk for a few minutes about what we're working on. It doesn't have to be a novel. I have some people working on short stories, poetry. It's kind of a mix. And then at the end, we just share how it went. And regardless, people are like, oh, actually, I got something done. It felt really good. I wouldn't do this otherwise. And so it's like that permission to work on your own stuff and take it seriously because if you want to be accountable, you want to see how everyone else is doing. So anyone's welcome at any time. I run them every week. Every now and then I might have to cancel and I give advanced warning. But they're my one of my favorite things to do these sessions. And again, they're free. It's a way to get to know me better and see if you'd like to work with me. I have a mix of current clients, former clients, and maybe potential clients that join. And they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I started hosting co-writing sessions I don't know, a few years ago as
Yeah.
a alternative for Nano. uh, when
Yeah.
NaNoWriMo was a thing.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and because I can't do 50,000 words in a month, I am a slow writer. It would
Yeah.
require me to spend 4 hours a day writing, and I was
I've
like, that's
tried
not
and
going to
yeah,
work.
same. Same, same.
But I was like, but I could do something different. And so I hosted a bunch of these co-writing sessions thinking like I would just do it for the month of November, but I enjoyed them for the similar reasons that you've
Yeah.
mentioned. They kept me accountable.
Yep.
And there's something about like having to show up because other people are, expecting you to be there. And
Yes.
yeah, I think I've been hosting some as well for like 4 years maybe. But this is perfect because you have yours in the morning and mine tend to be in the late afternoon because I am not a
That's
morning
great.
person. So people should join you in the morning and
Afternoon, yeah.
swing by.
For sure though, because some people like they want to keep writing more and more and it's just a space. And
Yeah.
I'll say too, like you do not have to show up fancy. People show
I
up, they just got out of the shower, there's no makeup. Like some people are at work writing for a few minutes before they go, but it's like no judgment zone. People cameras on or off. It's yeah, it's just fun to get
Yeah,
together.
I totally
Yeah.
agree. So what is going to be coming up for you? Well, as we record this, it's the beginning of June.
Yeah.
So what's going to be coming up for you this summer?
Yeah, so I'm working on starting a summer mentorship program specifically for teachers who want to write a novel. It starts June 15th. Now, when people see this, it'll already be happening. I will say, if anyone wants to join in later, it's only a week you've missed, and I've created this program on purpose. It's 7 weeks, so people have to miss a little bit. That's not a problem. Everything's recorded. You can jump in later. I just found I wanted it to be longer so that way people had time to really sit with their novel and not feel rushed. Later in the summer, I'll likely run another what's called a week-long a novel blueprint intensive. I did that last year where it's
Mhm.
the whole program in one week. And that also is really effective, but it is intense. So it has to be like you have a full week to really wrap your head around it. And so I will likely offer that too, just to see. But I'm most excited about like long-term relationships with people that I work with my coaching clients. So I like the idea of 7 weeks, being able to really get to know each other, help each other. I've taught classes before, and usually what people say is, I wish this was longer. And that's usually what people say. And so I'm like, wait, let's make it longer and let's see how that feels. So I've got this. So different ways to work with the summer. If you want to learn how to like start a novel, if you've never written one and you want those initial planning stages, my teacher programs would be great. And so definitely reach out to me if you want to join the group that's longer or get on my wait list for the week long. Aside from that, I have individual coaching going on all the time. I have room for about three more clients at the moment for this summer. And again, it could be if you want to work on planning one-on-one, I do that. Maybe you have already a novel started. I can give you feedback on your pages. Um, I also have a couple people I'm helping with pitching. Though I will say, every person that's come to me with wanting to pitch, we've realized they aren't ready yet. And so I have a couple people I'm actually helping them with revision and then they're going to pitch. So again, because I like the long-term relationship, I do help along every phase of the process. And so you can dip in at any point, or stay with me from the very beginning until the end.
Yeah. And what type of work, like what type of, do you have preference for genres, age
Hmm.
categories, things like this?
Yeah, so I definitely love working with adult novels and also young adults. I have clients in both of those categories right now. I definitely am a big fan of like book club fiction, women's fiction, upmarket. I also love historical fiction. Those are the novels I'm working with right now. I also have a client working on a romantasy, and that's a whole lot of fun too. Um, because my reading tastes are so eclectic, and I think also because of my teaching background, I taught, I think, a dozen different classes. I love variety. And so I don't see myself ever wanting to coach just one type of genre. I just
Sure.
love the variety. I will say I'm probably not the best fit for science fiction or horror, or like really younger grades, just because I don't
Sure.
read them often enough. But yeah, the ones I've mentioned are my favorite ones. Like right now, I'm helping somebody with a YA novel, historical fiction, about a period of time and an event that I had no idea about. So it's
Yes.
really fun to help people think about, like, to bring these stories to life that otherwise people wouldn't know.
Yeah. I love it. So, where can we find you
Yeah.
online?
So I'm kind of all over, trying to figure out where I love the space the most. The best place to find me is my book coaching website. It's keskesinc.com. I'm sure there'll be something
We'll
where
have a
you
link
see
for
it. I'll
people.
have a link, but so it's my last name, Keskes Inc. INK. And it's all about, like, yes, you can write a novel and I can help. And that's the name of my newsletter that I publish weekly. I blog on there every couple of weeks, but it's a big focus on giving you the skills to become a writer. Because I think that mental block of I can't possibly do that is the first step to get past. And then we can, like, okay, how do we do it?
Yeah.
I also am on Substack. That's a happy place. I was actually on Substack. I've been on there for a few years. I joined first just as a writer and wanting to just connect with fellow writers, and I keep that going. It's called the Teacher's Lounge. And just like my book coaching site, it's all about really, especially getting educators together to share writing experiences. It's not just educators exclusive, of course, but I find that there's a lot of educators looking for people that also like to write. And so that's something I post monthly, and you can find me there. It's under my name and also the Teacher's Lounge. And then I'm on Instagram, Facebook, kind of dabbling in Pinterest a little bit. But I find where I'm most often active would be Substack and Instagram.
Yep. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Mandy, thank you so much for this conversation. And I really hope it will be helpful to the teachers out there because I do think there are a lot of people in that education space who are attracted to writing, but maybe just feel like it's too difficult to balance all the
Right.
things and maybe they think they're just going to wait till they retire, but I think that you've shown us that we
Yeah.
don't have to
You
wait for the
don't need
next
to
phase.
wait. Yeah, yeah. I always think of it this way. You'll Same thing with the raising children. You're never gonna be like, oh, I wish I'd worked more. You're gonna be like, oh, I wish
Yes.
I'd spent more time with my kids. I wish I had put my time in for that novel I wanted to write. And so just remember that, like, you're always gonna be busy. There is never a right time. You're just gonna have to say, yep, I'm gonna do it, and then just do it. And teachers are naturally full of grit, and we double down on things. So double down on your own desire to write a novel
Mm,
and put that first.
yeah. Yeah. And, it's like the kids will just like keep coming. There
They
will always be
will.
a new batch, a new
Yes.
class. And
Yes, absolutely.
so you can't wait there's no finish line with that.
No.
So yes, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. And we will connect people to you so that they can find you in all the
I would
places.
love that. Yes.
And yes, I wish you well with the summer group. And
Thank you.
we will have to catch up again soon.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. This is great.
All right, writers, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
That's
Bye.
good. Bye.